Today, once again, I'm joined by Matt Struthers, the crop extension specialist for the government of Saskatchewan in the Ministry of Agriculture. He's here today to give us the crop report once again. And so thank you so much, Matt.
Well, thanks for having me back.
And so, Matt, now that we are into the summer, we are now into the growing stage of the crop season. And so, with that, we've seen quite a bit of rain throughout a good portion of Saskatchewan, though there are some parts that are quite dry. How is that growing outlook for each kind of plant right now looking across the province?
Crop development's kind of all over the place especially when we look at crops, wheat versus canola versus pulses and stuff like that, but also very varied or very variable across regions as well. We all know that seeding was quite delayed this year, especially in the south. Usually we get rolling in April. We didn't get rolling until May, and we were starting the same time that the north was getting started, and they were early. So crops are kind of going through this kind of funny thing where in the north they're farther ahead due to the extra time they've had to grow, whereas down in the south, especially the southwest and west central regions where it's drier, and then other pockets of the province that are drier, we're seeing crops that are more advanced due to that heat and that dryness, causing stress there. So they're currently looking pretty good. A larger portion of crop was for winter cereals, spring cereals, oil seeds, and pulses were rated to be ahead of their development compared to last week. And so that's something we're going to be keeping an eye on going forward in the next couple of weeks. And we predict that trend to slowly increase if conditions stay dry and we don't get that moisture. So fingers crossed we get a good soak in rain here soon.
And so some parts of the province are looking for a little bit of moisture. Matt, how much moisture are some of these places going to need exactly?
I would say a good inch or two over a course of a day, or a day or two, maybe 3 days. That would really go a long way. What we want to do is see that rain actually soak into the soil, let it be absorbed up by that plant, and then maybe have a little bit of soil moisture reserve for that crop when it comes into a bit more of a hot day. What we don't want to see is what we've been seeing, which is 50 mils or 2 inches of rain coming down in one evening. That's causing crop damage. That's causing a lot of runoff and erosion, and it's not allowing that moisture to actually absorb into that soil. So I don't have the magic number of what we actually need. I think that's on a farm by farm basis and a soil type by soil type basis. But certainly a couple inches would go a long way for some of the crop out there that's struggling through that heat and that drought stress.
And so, Matt, let's now look at the Northwest region. We've had a very good narrative going here for the Northwest region as we've had early seeding, which is not typical for us. And then we've gotten the rain that we've needed in some parts, though there have been some parts in the Northwest region that have been drier. What's the outlook, especially now that we're into that growing season for the Northwest region right now?
The crop in the Northwest does look good, depending on where you are. Obviously, there are pockets that are still very dry up in that part of the province. The unfortunate thing that happened in the Northwest this week was in the North Battleford area. A large storm rolled through, not only dumping a lot of water, but also brought with it a lot of hail. And there are reports of substantial crop loss and crop damage due to that hail, either being completely written off or being knocked back so much that the crop might not recover, and then also now it's open to disease. So very unfortunate because some areas of the Northwest do look very strong. They had a good early seeding, they had that moisture, they have the heat, and the crop got off to a really good start. But unfortunately, yeah, it got knocked down. I would still like to see a bit more moisture up into the Northwest. It is starting to get drier. Those hot, dry days with those windy days really suck the moisture out of the soil and put a lot of stress on those plants. So it'd be nice to see that moisture continue up in that region as well.
And so, Matt, of course, hail is a very big problem for crop producers. But what other weather effects and problems have been hitting other farmers throughout the province as well? We'll look at pests once again. You mentioned grasshoppers in previous weeks. Are there any other pests as well that are causing problems for farmers here in Saskatchewan?
So there's a few other spots in the province that got hit hard with hail. I know the Prince Albert area got hammered the same time as the North Battleford. It did hail down here. I know Moose Jaw and the Moose Jaw area got hail, but what we're hearing right now is that it was very small hail, and it might not have attributed to a lot of crop loss, and it might have might have a bit of damage, but it's not going to be completely written off or anything like that. So that's a very positive thing to see. That it's not all severe; that there are some minor damage crops, and some people were able to escape that. And then grasshoppers. Yeah, we've been talking about grasshoppers for the past 2 years as well, and their population is once again very high. And producers are doing their best to keep that pressure down and keep the damage on their crops as low as possible, so they can just give that crop the best fighting chance. Additional pests out there would be grasshopper or not grasshoppers, gophers. Sorry, they've come up with a fury as well. Again, their population's been high in the last couple of years, and that trend's unfortunately continuing. So producers are doing their best. And then lastly, producers will have been applying fungicides to keep ahead of any disease out there, especially Fusarium head blight in their cereals. Since we've been getting that heavy localized rain with these really hot days, that does commute the humid conditions that disease enjoys, and especially there are some crops that are getting to that vulnerable stage. So producers will be out there keeping an eye on that, and hopefully fingers crossed, we don't run into too many more issues.
Thank you so much for the crop report, Matt, and we will definitely talk to you again real soon.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.